All right. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing today? Okay, that's good. That's good. All right. So we are going to get right into it. We are back for another review of Tyler Perry's Sisters. Um, as I've seen the hashtag going around, Sisters on BET. We are in season one, episode three, and things are starting to pick up. So let's just jump right into the review. All right. So um, Karen and don't remember his name, but the dude that she met at the grocery store, they kind of sit in the car eating ice cream, and she asked him some kind of weird question, basically a general question about why all men wasn't shit and da 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 da. He basically just tells her, maybe all women or maybe women in your situation are picking men that aren't shit. Basically, was his counter, which is a good question because in my unbiased opinion, in my biased opinion, I guess, or unbiased. However, in my opinion, y'all probably just picking trash ass men. Trash ass men. Sorry, I've had a glass of wine already because some of these storylines drive me to drink. So, see me grab my glass, it's wine. Okay, work it out. All right, so that's basically what he told her. So they kind of abruptly end the conversation. He kind of gets mad and he storms away. And as she's leaving, she kind of comes up with a reason to talk to him, to kind of run after him and have some more conversation. And she says, "Hey, I owe you $8 for the ice cream," which I don't know what the hell kind of ice cream y'all eating where it costs $8, but I digress because it was a small container. Don't know. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. I've never seen an ice cream, grocery store ice cream cost that much. Fat girl problems. Anyway, and he's like, what, whatever. And he doesn't really want her money. So as he's walking away, she's like, hey, you're not asking for my number. Like she's not giving him an opportunity to ask for the number. She's kind of not giving him an opportunity to be the man in the situation. She's just very hard in her approach. And he's like, I'm not really sure that I even want it. And then she gets back in the car and she sees that he had planted a rose in the car and a nice message on a card and possibly his number. So that was a sweet gesture, but it was interesting that she didn't give him a chance to even ask. She was just kind of, you was jumping down his throat 5 minutes ago, girl, and now you want him to ask you for your number. Don't understand, Karen, but okay, girl. Okay, moving on. We're looking at Danny, and Danny's kind of following Gary around the airport to try to get a closer look at who this woman is that he's at the airport with. And I forgot that Danny and Sabrina don't know what Karen knows about Gary because Andy has shared more with Karen than she's shared with Danny and Sabrina about the whole about the whole Gary situation. So they're a little bit blind in that matter. But she's calling the girls on three-way and she's like, "Hey, should I call him?" And everybody's like, "No, relax, take your time, take a step back or whatever." And then Karen ends up adding Andy to the conversation as well. So now they're all on the phone, and Andy's telling Danny, "Hey, describe the lady to me." And she describes the lady or whatever, and Andy's like, "Oh, that's Gary's wife." And she was like, so she's like, "Don't say anything. That's his wife. Don't make a scene." So they just kind of leave it at that. Right. So I was mistaken in my last review, my last video. I said the lady looked like she wasn't Andy or Gary's wife, but it turns out it was Gary's wife. But she had her head down and she was being real weird and giggly. It was strange. Anyway, so it is Gary's wife, and they're at the airport and they're about to go somewhere. We'll find out later where. So after that fire is put out, Mr. Calvin, I think his name is Mr. Metrosexual, Sabrina's love interest. He calls her right after all of this, and she just ignores his call. So I'm assuming at this point she don't really want to talk to him no more. Didn't really resolve the situation, but she's just kind of ignoring him at this point. All right, so everyone is gathered at Danny's house, and they're kind of having to come to Jesus with Andy about Gary because the last that Sabrina and Danny knew about Gary, she was supposed to leave him alone. So why are we bringing her on the four-way call about the man's wife at the airport? So they decided to have this whole come to Jesus situation, right? So they're trying to relax, trying to ease their minds about the situation, and they start smoking weed. And now, of course, Danny got weed on deck. We knew Danny would have the weed on deck. Anyway, so they're just smoking and they're kind of geeking, and And they also take this opportunity to remind Andy that she broke the no married guy rule. So they have a pact in their sister circle, in their group of friends, where, you can mess with anybody you want to, as long as it's not a married man. So they've broken that particular pact. Well, we also found out in the scene that Danny, you've broken this pact as well. You have been in a relationship with a married man for a year before you have decided to break it off. So don't be too hard on Andy about the situation, because you did the same thing, girl. So all half y'all done broke the damn pact at this stage of the game. All right, so what else happened? Andy tells Danny and Sabrina the partial truth. She tells them, like, hey, I know that that's Danny's wife. I was able to look up the court records, and I know that she filed for divorce. Not let them know, like, hey, I'm this lady's attorney at this point, and I have, attorney. I guess she doesn't want to break attorney-client privilege, or client-attorney, whatever the term is, the legal term. She doesn't want to break that privilege by not giving them full information, but she does let them know, like, hey, I know she's planning to file for divorce. Kind of like, oh, I know he's going to leave her type situation. Doubt it, but okay, girl. All right, so we move on, and Danny goes on to let Andy know, like, hey, yeah, they were at the airport, but they weren't just at the airport. Like, they was like, yeah, I do put ice in my wine. Mind your business. All right, so Danny lets her know, like, hey, they weren't just at the airport. Like, they were lovey-dovey. Like, they were all over each other, and she was all legs up, like, leaning over his lap. Like, they looked like they were in a good space, basically. So Andy, she kind of doesn't want them to see, like, she's in her bag about it, but she's in her bag about the situation. So we'll see, how she handles that. Andy and Karen are riding home together, and they make this stupid pact again. Like, hey, you're gonna leave Zach alone, and I'm gonna leave Gary alone. We don't need them. So they're gonna make this ridiculous ass pact yet again. So it won't last. I'm sure it won't last. It won't last. Trust me, it won't. All right, so Sabrina and Danny are hanging out, and she's been ignoring Calvin all this time, and somehow or another she accidentally answers the phone, and now she's forced to kind of have a conversation with him, and he kind of tells her, hey, you can stop dodging me and just tell me what the problem is. And she's like, she's still BSing him, like, oh, there's no problem, I'm just busy. And he's like, okay, well, let's have lunch. And she comes up with an excuse for that. Okay, well, let's have dinner. She comes up with an excuse for that. So he lets her know, hey, don't waste my time. If you have an issue with me, let me know what the problem was. Until then, I'm out of here. And he hangs up on her. So, which is understandable, because if you have a problem, let him know. If you think you're gay, let him know. If you can't deal with the fact that he may or may not be bisexual, let him know. Like, don't lead him on. Girl, it was cute while it lasted, but go with your life. Just wash your hands or whatever you deem necessary. Anyway, yeah. So this is the part of the episode where I was out motherfucking done. This part in the last scene, but we'll get to that. Gary shows up at Danny's place, and if I'm not mistaken, he opens the door with a key. No. What are you doing with the key to this lady's house? You share the key to the house with you and your wife and your kids. What the hell are you doing with a key to this lady's house? Andy, why does he have a key to your house? And he has a whole family at the crib. I'll punch you in your face, Andy. That was stupid. Why would you give him a key? But I digress. I'm going to bring it back. He walks in the house, and he could say he had a family emergency, and that something was wrong with his mother-in-law, so him and his wife had to go see about her, blah, 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 what the fuck ever, right? So, and he's, I think I can see where he kind of sucked her back in with some bullshit-ass spiel, a compelling speech about going home and he basically tells her, like, hey, I'll go home right now and I'll end it with her and I'll get all my stuff and I'll bring her back to your house and we'll make this thing work, girl. We'll do it. And he's tear-filled, and it's just an Academy Award winning performance. Okay. He had her, but there was that one little string Andy couldn't get over. Anyway, he's like, I'm gonna go home. And she was like, okay, I'm gonna call your bluff. Do it right now. Go home, tell your wife you're done, get your stuff, and let's make this thing happen. And of course, that was not going to work for Mr. Gary. Right. So he what he does now is he decides to shift the blame to his kids, and he goes on to ask her if she's seeing somebody else. When I left here, we were in a good space. What's wrong with you? First of all, knock knock knock. Yet again, you have a whole family at the house. You don't get to question me, my friend. Again, I digress. Let me bring it back because I'm not Andy. I'm not Andy. I wouldn't be Andy. I wouldn't be in that situation. But he blames it on the kids, and he's like, one of my sons is autistic, which I get it. If I understand the disorder, but he's like, oh, if I'm going for longer than a few hours, he's having a very hard time with his condition. Blah, blah, blah. I get it, but if you've been telling this lady for months and months and months that you're leaving your family, you should have already accounted for the fact that your son has a mental disorder, right? That your son has an illness. So now that she's called your bluff, this is the kids. The kids are not going to be able to take it. Blah blah blah. Shut your mouth, Gary. Because I'll fight you in real life. That was just a stupid ass answer. But again, I digress. And then Gary gets on his ashy ass knees, pulls out a black box, and asks Andy to motherfucking marry him. I clutched my pearls. I was upset. You asked this lady to marry you after you just got back off of an emergency trip from your mother-in-law's house? Oh no, baby boy, that is not how that's going to work. And anyway, so Andy's like, I'm sticking to my guns. Basically, she wasn't moved. Like you could tell she was heartfelt because she finally got the proposal that she's been waiting years to get from Gary. However, she reminds him like, hey, you're married, my friend. Ain't no proposals happening over here because you're still a married man. And he was like, yeah, I know, but I'm going to end up leaving her. And he ends that with eventually. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. Okay? She put him out. So I'm round of applause for Andy. She finally put on her big girl drawers. All right. So, excuse me, we move on. And Sabrina and Maurice are slightly beefing. Sabrina works at the bank and Maurice is her coworker or employee at this point, and she's kind of giving him things to do, and he has an attitude because he thought that Calvin liked him, and she, was talking to Calvin slightly there, so they're kind of beefing over that little interaction. And Calvin shows up, and now he's sort of what looks like, it kind of seems like he's flirting with Maurice, and he's going out of his way to go to Maurice's window instead of Sabrina's, and they have this little weird, oh, thank you for remembering my name encounter, and then he asked Maurice, hey, can I get your number? Can we go out for coffee sometimes? While Sabrina's standing over there, but she's not able to hear the conversation. She can just see the interaction. And then once it's over, Maurice is kind of rubbing in like, hey, he asked me for my number. But if you don't want me to talk to him, I'm not going to do nothing with it. So just let me know what to do. And she's like, no, it's okay. It's cool. Whatever. When she was really hurt on the inside. I know she was hurt. Anyway, so unfortunately, Sabrina decides to call Danny of all people to tell her about this interaction, and Danny can't help but laugh in the girl's face. It was funny, but it was kind of sad because she was kind of upset because I know she really liked him, but girl, you think he's gay, so you can't be too hurt about the situation. But I guess, child. Okay, so now we move back over to the airline where Danny works, and she spots Zach at work flirting with some white girls. I don't know any other way to sugarcoat that. Zach is at work and he's flirting. There's like 3 little young, tender white girls, and he's on his little cart escorting them through the airport because they're going on some kind of trip, some kind of yacht vacation trip, and he's just skinning and motherfucking grinning. And unfortunately, he makes the mistake of pulling up to Danny's register to check the girls in, and he's just cheesing because they just invited him on their yacht trip and they're ready to go, and they just really, really, really want him to come, and they're just all over him. We won't get into the whole fetishizing black men, the whole white women fetishizing black women. That's a whole nother issue for another day. I don't want to talk about it. All right, so one of the girls gives him her phone number, and he's just in la la land, like just soaking up the attention, knowing that Danny is a fucking fool and she gonna shut this shit down. It's like across the thing. She's right in earshot. She gonna turn up on you, just so you know. So and then that happens. So Danny, while they're sitting there talking, she's like, So she silently got this bat on her head, like, should I say something or should I be a little more subtle? So what she decides to do is she's conveniently can't find their reservation. And then she decides, hey, in order to avoid Zach going on the trip with them, and then she finds him another reservation, but it's in Coach, and of course, they're hoity-toity, and we Coach, I don't do Coach. So they were not interested in Coach. So another one of the three girls decided that she's just going to use her father's personal plane instead of just being bothered with the airline. And she's just so appalled at the customer service. And Danny's just being real passive aggressive with him. She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Hope you come back with us again." She don't really give a damn. But Zach won't be taking that flight with you on today. So she shut that down. And she tells Zach, like, "Hey, if you call her and you end up going on that trip, don't drink the tea. Okay, get your ass out." But yeah. So Maurice shows up for the coffee with Calvin, which is the guy that is interested in Sabrina, and Maurice gets he gets all giddy, like, "Oh, I thought you were interested earlier, but you went out with Sabrina. Thank you for inviting me for coffee." And Maurice kind of bursts his bubble because Calvin kind of bursts Maurice's bubble because he's listening, like, "Hey, no, I really wasn't into you, and I'm not gay. I actually wanted to get you out of the office so that we can have a conversation so that you can help me get to know Sabrina better." So Maurice is like, "Oh, okay, I guess I can help you, get to know her, but I thought you wanted me." So they burst his bubble on that. And then he gives us a little bit more insight, and Calvin gives us a little bit more insight into his life and lets us know that, I'm not gay, but I do have two fathers. I was raised by, a pair of gay men, and Maurice is just thoroughly interested in the conversation. Like, how was your upbringing? So they just have a cordial conversation after that. Yeah. All right. So then we move on, and well, yeah, no, one more thing that was interesting about that scene is when Maurice is talking about it, he was like, "Yeah, I'm interested in knowing, tell me a little bit more what it was like growing up like that, like growing up with two fathers is like that situation." And Calvin is like, "What do you mean by like that? Like, I had a fairly normal upbringing. Of course, people kind of picked at me because I had two dads, but otherwise a normal childhood." So that was interesting. And yeah. So Maurice is gonna help him with Sabrina, basically. All right. So Andy's boss comes in and asks her, like, "Hey, have you made a decision? Is it still a conflict of interest?" And and the boss comes in and he's like, "Yeah, thank you for talking to her. Thank you for getting rid of that conflict of interest." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, "Yeah, because I don't know the wife's name, but Gary's wife is in the lobby waiting for you, so I'm assuming there's no more problems. You fixed everything because now she's here and she wants to speak to you." All right, so she comes in and she wants to speak with Andy, but it's not to continue this divorce settlement, to continue the divorce proceedings. No. The wife is there for a different reason. Okay. Um, and the wife basically tells Andy, "I want to thank you for helping me and kind of listening to me and being my counsel in this whole thing, and kind of helping me go through the thing. The private investigator has been able to find much on this supposed woman he's cheating on me with at the gym, and there's no more evidence at this point, so that lets me know, okay, she's about to cancel this whole thing." And she says that they haven't been able to prove who the mistress is, or any mistress for that matter, and that she's not going to let some horrible person destroy her marriage, and that she's not going through the divorce at this point. Which we could have deduced that earlier from Danny's conversation at the airport. They all lovey-dovey. He smoothed things over with her. He done gave her a good conversation, right? All right, cool. You done won your wife back over. So she also lets us know, the wife lets us know that Gary came home and he gave us this heartfelt speech about wanting things to work out, and he's on his knees and he's crying. The same dramatics and theatrics that he gave Andy earlier the same day in her apartment or in her home. Same spiel. And she also is excited about the fact that Gary bought her a new ring. She shows the little ring. Girl, he liked it. Then he put another ring on it. And the ring is the exact same ring that he had proposed to Danny with earlier in the day. Boom. And that, my friend, is how you get stabbed in the neck. Why is you playing with these women? Why is you playing with these? Calm down, Jill. Calm down. So Gary decided, I guess he decided, ended on with the ring, already paid for it. Let me give it to my wife. Let me work things out with my wife. So don't know what Andy's gonna do, but she need to go ahead and just cut ties, just be done with Gary. The whole Zach Karen situation, don't think that's over, but we'll see what happens on the next episode. But that has been season 1, episode 3 of Sisters on BET, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.